year this year, the groundwork laid, how will that pay off down the road?
I think in a lot of ways. I think for myself, obviously being a first year head coach, you learn so much your first year every day, and I think a lot that will help me is just the day to day of how to run a program that we're doing it the right way, and to just keep pushing what we're doing and try to get better. Just like our players, myself and staff are always looking to find ways to get better. So whether it's during the season, in the off season, all right, what's better ways we can do everything as far as just a program management standpoint. I think now we all have an understanding of, everybody on staff now has been through the Big Ten, so they understand recruiting wise, like what it takes at this level, the type of player, the type of athlete, what works, what wins. You're able to see every program, style of play. So that's going to help recruiting wise. And then I think with recruiting now we have something to sell, whereas before it was hard. I didn't have a body work. I couldn't pull up video and say, hey, this is how we're going to play, or this is how, we run offense, or if you're this position, here's how we get you shots. Now you have that to sell, and people have watched us play, and they can see what we're trying to do, see our players develop and grow. So you have all that backing. It's a lot easier. So you're going into homes with something from a recruiting standpoint. And I think that's huge, and I think we've had a couple kids that have played, really well. We've had a team that has performed, and I think if you really peel it back, we're never satisfied, but probably you could make an argument that they've probably done better than a lot of people assumed. And so you're able to just sell all that. Whereas, like I said before, just because it was new, there's not a lot. So, we'll definitely take this year and pick it apart and just find ways where, top to bottom, we can get better as a program.
And you talked about some of the personal things day to day that you've learned. What would be some examples of that?
I think just the fun part of it is from an X and O standpoint. Being able to go through the gauntlet, so to speak. You're realizing, all right, offensively, here's what's worked and here's what didn't work, and just your mind is able to think going into an off season. Okay, stylistically, we know now how we can play and it can win games and be effective. And so now now you have confidence in that, so you're implementing it. So player development, you're attacking it a wholly different way. Even recruiting-wise, you're able to attack it a whole different way. Like there's concrete evidence of what you're trying to do from a head coach's standpoint, right? And then there's also stuff where it's like, okay, tried that, maybe that doesn't work. Even the defensive side of the ball, we've had to do and been able to do so many different things based on who's playing, who's not playing, personnel. We're going up against this, just to try to, maintain competitive edge. You're learning that. You're learning like, hey, I didn't know if we'd be able to play kind of our zone. And we were, but we had to tweak it this way. Man, you know what? I kind of liked how we tweaked it. Now we can put that into our zone package. Or, offensively, you're trying to get whoever it is, Jamison, Peyton, those guys shots. It's like, you know what? I didn't know if that will work, but now we inverted this and you mix this around. So X and O's wise, wow, we have a couple packages that we know we can build on and run for next year. And then I think it's just always going back to reaffirming what I always believe in, and that, so much of it is about the right players, and if you get the right guys that fit you and fit your style, fit your university, fit your program, that's really what matters. Because the talent obviously has to be there, but if you can get the right pieces that fit the other parts that you already have, and that's going to be the good thing, is now we pretty much know who's coming back. It's like, okay, how do we fit pieces and talent around what we have that also fits this league? As before when we took this job over, it was like you're hoping, and you're praying that, like, okay, I like this guy, but from film, and I'm kind of hoping, and I hope it works, and I hope they're good enough. Where now it's like you have more concrete evidence, and now it's like you have some staples that you can build around. And so when you're trying to make a team and put a team together, it's a little bit easier because you got more of what you got is what you know.
This team, what they did in the beginning of the season and until now, the way they played it early on, there's no way that you thought that you were going to finish at the bottom of the league. What do you think happened to get to that point, and how do you keep these guys knowing that, hey, they still have some games left to play?
Yeah, well, I knew. I mean, I've been in this league before, so I knew when we could have started, whatever, 2-7, 2-8, or 10-0, 9-0. I knew that like all that it's good for the confidence piece, but like this league is a whole different animal, right? And so going into it, I honestly the non-conference, you wanted to build the confidence because you knew how hard the league was going to be. So I looked at it as almost as like two different seasons. It's two different entities that don't matter, in a lot of ways. Again, the confidence piece is probably the biggest things you take, whether you're good or bad, from a non-conference, because you want to build momentum going into the league, right? But again, we had an undefeated non-conference. I didn't think in my mind, oh man, this is gonna guarantee us we're gonna finish middle of the road in the Big Ten. What I felt was, okay, this should give us confidence so that every game we play, we have something to fall back on that say, look, fellas, what we do works. You're good enough. You're capable. When you pay attention to the details, it can become successful, if that makes sense. But this league is too good to ever, go into it thinking, because you never know. And injuries play a role, and fatigue, and like anything, confidence is huge. So say you go into league play and look at Michigan State, for example. I think Izzo's been on record saying, they were kind of bottom heavy, so they got a lot of wins early. But he always talked about it. I know what's coming, right? It's the same thing. Like you can try to navigate as best you can. Like how you handle adversity is everything. And so that's the biggest thing I think, that when you're building a team, it's like, and as we get better and we grow, is understanding that you want to take care of the non-conference. You want to build equity. You want to build confidence, all of that. But then once you get into league play, it's all about how you navigate it and how you handle adversity, because you're not just going to run through it. I mean, Wisconsin lose 4 games, 5 games, something like that, 4 or 5. So you're going to, no one's going undefeated. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all about now, it's like, can we get a team where you hit league play and adversity hits, and instead of having the 6, 7, 8 game slide, it's like, if you lose one, can you recover? Can you prevent the long runs and the long streaks of losses? And, I just have so much respect for this league and these coaches that, you just take it game by game, and you just try to build and keep growing and get better.
How do you get out of that hole then? Like I saw one of the Rutgers players tweet, 3 years ago? As little as 3 years ago. They only had 3 conference victories. Now look where Rutgers is. So there are examples you can point to, but how difficult is it to get out of that hole of being 14th?
No, there's a ton of examples. I mean, look at, even Purdue. I mean, Matt Painter's now finished last in the league twice. I just think it's, especially when you're building it, like, obviously no one wants to finish in the bottom half of the league. But it takes steps and time to get there. And Rutgers is a great example. I think those guys have done a really good job of, you get a couple guys when they're young, you're going to take your lumps, or new bodies, you're going to take your lumps. But if they stick with it, by the time there's a junior and a senior, and if you have a core group of those guys that went through those lumps, I think it's going to pay off. And I think that's what you see with Rutgers, right? Harper, those guys have been through it. They've seen the good and the bad. Well, that's helped them get to this point. And they're older. They've had that experience. They've played. They've done it. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just to stay the course. And again, no one wants to finish in the bottom half of the league. That's not why we came here. It's not what anybody signed up for. But to be able to understand it, I was in the Big East when Hurley took over at UConn, and they were finished in the bottom part of the league. But you build it through recruiting. You build it through growing your program by taking the lumps, and then you progressively get better. Now, all of a sudden, what is it, year 3 or 4 for him, I think, they're top of the Big East. So I think the most important thing is when you're building it, it's the recruiting piece. It's getting the pieces that fit, that are good enough. And if you get that and you get the players that fit your style, you're going to be competitive. If you can't develop and you can't recruit at a good and high enough level, it's going to be a lot harder in this league, especially to make a jump that we want to make. So I think it's just continue to develop the guys that we have, to get them better, and to keep just pounding the recruiting.
Excuse me, you played Penn State already a couple times, and that was that short window that you guys played each other. And the second time, it really was not your team health-wise. Going through some things. I bet they're looking forward to showing that they're much better than that last meeting.
Yeah, no, they are, and I'm not even going to bring that second game up, because it really was. I mean, obviously, looking back on it, that wasn't, for a lot of reasons, wasn't who we are for a lot, this or that. But I think in the first game was a little bit more of a lot more of how we need to play, and they're not going to change much as far as their defensive philosophy. Every team's going to add a couple things that they run that's different offensively, but as far as what we need to go up against and how we need to play on the offensive end, we got a really good understanding of that. I think so much of it now, is who wants to keep playing. There's a lot of us that are kind of in the same boat where you got to string a couple games if you want postseason play. And so either you're going to be motivated to do that and to get hot and get on a run, or you're not. And if you're not, then it's really tough to get going, especially in these early games. So everybody's got a ton to play for. It's just a matter of, some of it is how bad you guys want it. And then obviously there's the execution piece. You got to play well. You got to go out there and get stops and make shots and play well.
What do you feel like you need to work on, eliminate, correct as far as the slow starts have gone?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, a lot of it is just the mindset of kind of what we've had in the last 20 minutes, where it's not reckless, but you're not consumed with the score, and you're not necessarily consumed with like the outcome, good or bad. You're just trying to fight to stay in the fight, and I think that's a lot of it is. We can't worry about if you're down 12-3. Oh man, is this next shot going to go in? Or oh God, are we going to be able to get a couple consecutive stops here? Because then all of a sudden that could paralyze you. You start overthinking. You start getting tight early. Whereas sometimes when the lead, for example, like yesterday is what it was, you're not thinking about this. You're just trying to survive, and you've got that urgency to get back in the game. So you're more free. You're not thinking about every single play and every single pass and every single shot. We just need to embody that early. So we got to almost like approach it, first half, second half mindset, and play with that mentality. And, the best part about now is, there's nothing to save. It's lose or go home. So you should hold nothing back. You should hold nothing in the tank. I don't want our guys to play tight. I don't want our guys to be nervous. I want them to enjoy it and play fun and play free and expand every ounce of energy that they possibly have.
Season play possible? Like, you don't need to be 500 to play in the NIT anymore, right? Or is the CBI a possibility?
I mean, all that stuff's in play. Obviously, the best part about it is it's in our control. If you win, and we continue to win, then even NCAA tournament's a possibility. If we don't take a game one, then I don't think any of it's a possibility. So I just told our guys, it's destiny is controlled by us in a lot of ways, and we just got to worry about, Wednesday is Penn State. You win that one, you move on. I think it's Ohio State next, right? You win that, you move on. But yeah, we control our own destiny in a lot of aspects. But none of that happens obviously if you don't play well Wednesday. So
You've got a couple recruits that are local that have been playing high school ball here, and they have a chance to win some accolades, maybe even win a state championship. How much are you following them, like Braden and Farrell specifically, and how much do you think those guys have seen you play, and then they'll know, like, hey, this is how Ben expects me to play, or this is what my role might be? What are they thinking about this?
Yeah, no, obviously follow those guys a ton. Excited about their future. I think I'm excited because how they play fits what we do, and they're obviously very talented. And so you get excited about young talent, you know, and they've been to a handful of games. They've been to a lot of games actually, and so they've seen what we're about, what I'm about, and I think that's also the good thing about, you know, this year, is that people, and especially here, but people have been able to watch. I don't care whether you're in California or Minnesota or Chicago, like you're able to get the Big Ten Network, you're able to get Fox Sports, you're able to get ESPN. So you're able to see what our brand and what we want it to look like. And even, you know, even when you don't win, I think the feedback that I've gotten from people is that they can at least see what we're trying to do. And that to me is huge, because now as a player, as a family, as a recruit, you understand, okay, I stylistically I get it. I get what they're trying to accomplish here. I can understand how they're trying to play. I can see it. It's tangible. And then for us, when we go evaluate, it's an easy way to say, okay, that person fits or they don't fit. You know, I think the expectation, especially for those two guys, when they've seen us, is that they know that you know, you got to compete. You got to play hard. I think that's for any young kid, that's the kind of the standard base. You know, if you don't have that, and they've seen at games how hard our guys play, so they already are going to know coming into the summer, okay, there's a level that I got to up the ante here. All right, this is the highest level. You know, and I think credit to you guys that follow us have done a good job of explaining our team, you know, of telling our story. And we need that. You know, you got to have, when the media is talking about you and is covering you, I mean, kids read that, families read that. And so for you guys to be able to do what you do and to follow our program and write about us, that, you know, that helps, because you're trying to build your brand and what I'm about and what we're about. And, you know, I think that's so important and so key, is for guys and people, not only recruits but fans, to hopefully come away this year and saying, okay, I know what that program is going to be based on, and I know what's going to look like, and hopefully they want, you know, excited to support it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.